I think there's a fashion alert in the sky again, which calls upon another instance of experts being needed to call to the scene for evaluating the video game fashion. It's me. I'm Alex, a video game fashion expert.
It's also me, Mumbles, a second video game fashion expert, the sidekick.
That's not true. You're the other person. What's a duo? A good, hero fashion duo? There's no good ones.
There's no duos.
It's only
always
solo
sidekick.
artists.
Yeah. It's like the Avengers. I'm doing something else and then you call.
Yeah,
What's that? It's vigilante time.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
And we have a huge fashion game that is really all about fashion and growing your characters and changing their outfits over time to be better, and hairstyles get better, and just people grow, and sometimes they don't, but a lot of times they do. And of course, we're talking about Fire Emblem, the three houses of Fire Emblem.
Wonderful. People blossom. You take them to tea parties. You just learn so much about them. And then they show you who they are through how they dress.
And I think that although we're being silly about it, I think there is a lot of truth to our statements, because when you're going through these games and fashion becomes such an important part of the visual storytelling, basically how you're judging these characters, besides the fact where they leave little comments about things they like, you have to go on their outfits, which actually comes into play later on with the lost items and whatnot and tea parties. So fashion is very important in Fire Emblem.
This is a huge cast of characters. This is one of the biggest casts of main characters in pretty much any IP. And so having these outfits help explain who each character is genius. And that's what they did. So I'm here for it.
At first, I wasn't sure if I wanted to do a fashion video on this, just because I saw they're all wearing uniforms to start, and I'm like, okay, that's not really interesting. And that's sort of the reason why I haven't covered a lot of Persona games, for the same reason, is just because it's a lot of uniforms. But then, so spoiler alert, we're going to be talking about spoilers. And in this case, I believe the outfits do count as spoilers, because I believe if people want to discover this on their own, then don't watch this till you've at least gotten to the halfway point. So,
definitely. I remember you messaged me on Discord. You're like, oh my God, they actually glowed up. 5 years later, it actually happened. This is for real. So I feel like if you think that it's just school uniforms for the whole game, you're wrong. The second half of the game, they all stylize how they want to look, and it's awesome. It looks great.
Yeah, and so immediately I'm just like, okay, a fashion video needs to be made. So I thought the best way to do this is we're going to evaluate some of our picks for each of the houses, talk about some of the representatives of the fashion, and then maybe talk about which house is the best house of fashion in terms of, style and growth. I think we're evaluating both those things.
Definitely. Personal style, growth, all good stuff.
Yeah, and then we're gonna look at a few others, some of the professors, and of course we're gonna talk about the main character as well. But I think we're going to jump right into it with maybe an obvious one that we'll just get out of the way right now. Our favorite house, probably.
Yeah.
The most discussed about, I think, the Golden Deer. And of course, the leader, which is, in a way, I wouldn't say the fashion leader of the house. I think every house has their own fashionista. And we'll get into that. But Claude is definitely up there as a general great guy. And Dreamboat.
That's what I keep calling him on Twitter. To me, he is so dreamy, and I did not expect him to be as dreamy. Are you definitely in the Golden Deer boat? Are you Golden Deer for life?
Hooves? Yes. Well, I don't know if I grew hooves in the process, but I mean. I definitely, I'm glad I went with them. I'm glad that I went with Claude in the overall romance category. Well, that's where I'm headed. Because he's a great guy, and he learns over time not only what to do with his look in terms of his profession and his standing, but he also has some really great facial hair that comes into play as well. Somehow that he somehow pulls off.
See, for me, it was funny when I first started the game and you see all these like students, they all look pretty young. And I'm like, I don't see myself being able to date any of these people because I'm in my early 30s and like they all look like children to me. But then when you see Claude 5 years later and he's got that facial hair around the jawline and he's like winking and whatnot, you're like, okay, he can get it. That's fine. That works for me. Like he's age appropriate now.
Yeah, and that's another thing we'll want to point out is that they're not high school students at this point.
Yeah.
But so let's get into this outfit. He's got sort of like a one shoulder armor deal, which a lot of them do. And then on the other shoulder, he's got like a banner sort of draped over. He's got the ascot type chiffon thing. I don't know what that's called, but it's kind of that like very noble ruffle look. He's got it on the one arm, and then it turns into like this quilty sort of material, which seems to be all the rage.
A lot of other characters have that too. Yeah, even Felix, I think, gets it.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. So it must be a sign of nobility to have that quilt pattern, I guess, in your house, your family's colors, because Felix's is in blue, and I think someone else had it in green. What I think is interesting about Claude is that we know he grew up somewhere else, probably as a commoner, and then a year ago, before the game starts, he suddenly becomes a noble, suddenly gets all of this wealth, is put into a noble house. And so I think that his costume reflects someone who has this kind of commoner sense of style, and then taking all these fine fabrics and interesting fashion designs and making it his own. It's very much Claude. It's almost like kind of got an Aladdin thing to me, like someone who just thinks this looks cool and applies it to how they want to look, basically.
Yeah, Aladdin is actually a really good comparison to make. One of the things that you will notice in comparison to the other outfits is his boots and his gloves are really simple. And
yes,
a lot of the nobles have very ornate designs on their boots and gloves. And really, there's no reason for it. Like, it's more of a practicality thing for Claude. And there's a lot of practicality mixed in with the ornateness. He's only really got, like, that small little piece of armor. And then the rest is fairly, like, light, seemingly breathable, movable clothing.
Yeah, even he has these cuffs that are, it looks like it's made out of really thick fabric, maybe even like straw or leather. And it's clearly made to block swords or block incoming arrows, maybe. But the way that it's designed looks more functional than it looks fancy. And I think that's kind of interesting about him. So he has this golden cape because he knows that he's going to be in charge of an entire landmass. But a lot of the things that he does, as far as his clothing, is extremely functional and good for an archer that he is.
The pom-poms, I like them a lot. We don't see a lot of like pom-pom tassels in fashion, especially in games. We see a lot of like Western fashion, but here we see a lot of this in a few characters where they blend the Western and the Eastern fashion together.
Definitely, especially with Claude. And I think his hairstyle also blends the Eastern and Western fashion as well. So he's interesting.
And we could talk all day about Claude, but maybe let's move on to one maybe we don't like as much from Golden Deer. Maybe like the alternative.
Oh boy.
We're talking about Leonie because we got some things to say. And immediately right off the bat, I was excited because I'm like, okay, they're glowing up. What's Leonie looking like? I bet you her hair got longer because it was pretty short. And then we end up with this dinky Anakin Skywalker Padawan little dinky ponytail thing. Jean shorts with orange everywhere. Too much orange, which is like historically my least favorite color for clothing of all time.
That's right. Yeah, you mentioned that last
orange.
time.
I can forgive the hair color. Like, I think the hair color is cute, but this is just like way too much for me.
Leonie's I don't like her. I like pretty much every character in Fire Emblem, but I really don't like her. And my issue with her is that she's always trying to like act like she's the real daughter of the main character's dad. And she's always like, how come you don't respect your dad? And that like really got on my nerves. And I also don't like that she is considered the tomboy of the group. But tomboys, just because you're a tomboy doesn't mean you can't be cute. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I was a tomboy growing up and I still dressed cute. And so to me, it's kind of like a slap in the face to all tomboys out there.
It's not great. And I think, well, first of all, I hate the fact that she continually she has the like tied cape thing around the waist that really just looks like a sweater wrapped around your waist, which is
like she didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah. And it's like, no, just like don't wear it. And then she has like a belt that goes over top of that like sweater, and then she's got like another belt that goes across like her chest to hold the armor piece. Would be fine if it wasn't for the fact that she also has the other belt going in the same direction. I don't know. It's like, and those huge buckles on the front, one goes like straight across the middle of her boobs, so it's like super awkwardly placed.
Yeah, it's just like I said, I feel like they tried to make her even a tomboy as an adult, but they try to like also give her like some sex appeal, and they just completely missed the mark. It's almost like they took a Kingdom Hearts character design and then tried to put it into Fire Emblem.
Yes. It's too much modern fashion. Like, it's the jean shorts. Oh, yeah. You know, it's the jean shorts plus it's like that neckline with the collar plus the sweater around the... It's not impressing anybody. And it like the sweater around the waist bugs me so much because it's like that symbolizes a person that's super cash, in my opinion. It's like, oh, whatever, like you just like tie a sweater, you're on the go, whatever. But like she's a total bitch and doesn't come off like a person that would tie their sweater around their waist, and so she can't do that. That's false advertising.
Every time you have a conversation with Leonie, it's like life or death. She's like, how come you didn't learn how to skin a deer when you were 5 like I did? Like, how come you're not that good at training like me? I trained really good. You don't even deserve to have your dad. It's like, lady, chill out, please.
Ugh. And I know so many people like that were just like, I used to go hunting when I was younger. I know how to use a gun and I know how to skin a deer. And it's like, good for you. That doesn't make you more tough.
Right. Like, I'm not going to learn those skills. You're not convincing me.
You're not going to be hunting. I'm just going to go to the grocery store and buy my meat in like half an hour and not deal with all the bullshit that comes with
You don't even need, let's say that there's no more grocery stores. You don't need to hunt. You just have to have a chicken coop or some mushrooms. Like, hunting isn't that big of a deal if you can just domesticate animals like we have. So get up with the times, Leonie.
Moving on, since we're like on fire already. So Lysithea is one that I want to talk about because I was very impressed with her journey. And I was really impressed with her outfit. It's a nice shade of purple. She beautiful. Goes on this kind of quest in her life because at the start of the game, she's really self-conscious about the fact that she has white hair. And she's also really self-conscious about the fact that she's treated like a child. You'll learn as you go on about her story, and it turns out to be like quite dark. But this evolution was amazing to see, and she decorates her hair with a scarf, which Like, I see less of as it's not a shame thing, like she's hiding it. It's embracing it and decorating it in a way that I think looks really cool. And it matches her dress. And the purple is really nice with like the golden sort of design.
Like a lilac. It's a beautiful, beautiful purple that she has as that scarf. And like you said, I think it highlights it. To me, I always thought she kind of looked like a fox. Like her whole deal looks like a really cute white fox.
Oh, like a kitsune, like a demon.
Yeah, yes. Exactly. And so the fact that she's kind of leaning into that when she gets older is really interesting.
I also took a specific screenshot of the shoes because they're so intricately designed. And actually, you can't really see them on the screenshots I took, but it's like a little red gem on the back, and then on the front, it's got those golden appliques. But they're still Mary Jane's. They're still those like childlike shoes. She's not like she's completely grown up yet.
When it goes the 5 years and it's wartime and stuff, she still has some of the same insecurities that she had when she was younger, but she owns them a lot more, like with her personality. And I think that the way that she dresses really reflects that, because she does have more adult things. I think that the scarf is kind of an adult choice, and then to match that with the Mary Janes and also just her main outfit, I think looks like a mix between someone who's doing something kind of cute but also a little bit more mature. So she's in this transitional phase, and I think that's really cool. It looks great.
Yeah, and I think that's something we should point out, as now that you mention it, is that it is only 5 years, so it's not like this drastic change.
Right.
It's not like 20 years where they're like full-fledged adults. They're still like in a relatively similar time period, so it's not like you're gonna see these huge transformations.
Right, exactly. But it is kind of shocking when you see them. Yes. When you see them later, you're like, oh wow.
A very controversial member of the Golden Dare, Lawrence.
Yeah.
Who, I wrote Lawrence down. You put bad. Did I put bad or you put bad?
I put bad.
Because we are, and here we're specifically talking about the fashion.
So his character is really annoying when he starts out, but if you're a Golden Deer at heart, you'll learn to love him.
Yeah.
But his fashion never gets better. It's always bad, top to bottom.
I was shocked when I saw him because I had so many more I had such high expectations for him, knowing that he is literally like the fashion man in the game.
Right.
Like, there's a lost item and you're like, a man who is fashionable. It's always Lawrence. So you're like, okay. And his uniform is also one of the more intricate and elegant ones. So going into the time skip, I'm like, okay. And he shows up. And with the hair, the Scene Kid hair, which maybe this generation doesn't even know what Scene Kid is anymore. Definitely not. Slicked, too greasy, oily. And I know the kids love the grease and the oil because of the Draco Malfoy situation. But it's like, you don't think about that. Random, like, dragon armor. Now it's armor, and it doesn't make any sense for there to be a flower on it. Because it's like, what is it doing there? And the pants don't go at all. And if you look closely, he's even got like a little garter belt situation happening that leads to nowhere.
God. Oh, you're totally right.
It doesn't make sense.
About that. Okay, here's my take on Lawrence. So I think that he is trying to live up to being the apex noble. He wants to be the epitome of noble. When you open up the dictionary and you look for noble, you see his picture. That's what he wants. But his issue is that the next guy in line for being king or whatever, the Duke, kick-ass Duke, is Claude. And Claude does not dress like how a traditional noble should dress. And so I think Lawrence, like, his way of dealing with that is going completely the other direction and trying to look as noble as possible without doing all of the fashion things that you need to do in order to make that look good. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, he's like, well, obviously I'll wear a flower because that'll attract the ladies. I read that in a book somewhere.
It's like he's like that MMO character where you just put on whatever has the best stats and it may not be a set, and you just like, it's a mishmash of a whole bunch of different things. That's what this outfit is. And he's trying to max out his nobility stats because it's got like noble armor plus romantic chivalrous rose plus noble pants with like golden design plus garter belt plus coattails plus
here's the thing.
Long ass stupid scene hair.
Here's the thing about fashion. If you spend too much time looking at somebody else's deal, you're never going to figure out how to dress yourself. You're always going to dress yourself wrong. If you're too busy trying to model someone else's idea of what fashion is, you're going to screw it up and make yourself look bad. And that's Lawrence's deal. I feel like he said, oh, you guys like long hair because Claude has kind of longish hair. I'm gonna have even longer hair, and it's gonna go down the side, and it's gonna look real weird, and you guys are gonna love it. You know, it's like he just doesn't get it. He's trying too hard,
and it is very impressive that he grew out his like, because his head was shaved at the back. He had sort of like the monk thing going on in the back.
I know.
So it's like, is that worse, or is the like droopy dangle on the side worse? It's hard to say.
The dangle is way worse, in my opinion. Anything that's too off symmetry for me is not working. Also, I wanted to mention that the flower that he's wearing is artificial, and in the game you find it and you give it back to him. But we figured out that, like, he's still wearing a flower when you give him his lost item, which means that he has a whole collection of artificial flowers. I mean, this dude goes to war and he loses a flower and he just reaches into a box and he picks out his next flower for the ladies. And it's terrible and I hate it.
And they smell like the section in Michael's with the fake flowers that smells like dust and fabric mixed together. And it's like, ugh, get me out of here.
Like old people houses.
Yes, that's probably what Lawrence smells like.
Old people.
Old people. While we're kind of in a a gripey mood, let's talk about Ignatz, everyone's least favorite character in the entire game, which I don't think is necessarily fair.
Do they not like the character, or they just not like the way that he's dressed?
Oh, well, I don't think it has to do with the fashion. I think it's just like people don't like him because he's an innocent young boy and he's got a lot to learn and he's sensitive and he likes art.
Whoa.
So
I did not have a problem with him, but okay.
Yeah, he's probably one of the most hated characters. He's like, everyone's like, I want him. I don't care if he dies. Which is so sad. It's very cruel. But you know what? For fashion, if it was the life or death situation for fashion, he would be dead.
Yeah, he's on the chopping block for us.
I had high expectations of Ignatz in the same way I had high expectations for Lysithea, because there's a lot of room to grow. There was no growth, and the hair was pushed to the side slightly.
Oh, okay. So the thing about his character is everybody talks about how great he is at like appreciating art and appreciating beauty and finding the perfect teapot for the perfect tea party.
Yes.
And dude can't even put together a good outfit. So
that is an excellent point. They like give him credit like all the time. Mind you, a lot of that credit comes from Lawrence. And he's a little bit of a misjudge himself. So I do wonder if Ignatz was misled by Lawrence with this outfit a little bit. I'm starting to think so.
And Ignatz becomes a knight for Lawrence, I think.
Or at least he's very interested.
They're chilling together. Yeah.
So here's the thing is like, I don't expect a lot from Ignatz, but when you're making such deliberate choices as having those poofy pants mixed with the Robin Hood style cape, mixed with that very tight corset belt, a button-up shirt, and a sort of, I don't know what to call that. It's sort of like a yukata top.
It's like a poncho. Like, remember how earlier we're like, tassels are cool? There's too many tassels going on.
Yes.
is my issue.
There's too much on the chest because you have the big buckle for the cape, you have the tassels on the cape, then you have a ruffle thing, and then you have another scarf thing, and then you have buttons on the shirt, and then you have the ornate design on the poncho.
So Ignatz has a feather that rests on his shoulder, but it goes far enough that if you turned your head, it would be in your line of sight. If you are a bow knight or a sniper or someone who has a bow and arrow, the last thing you need is something in your periffs, like tickling your neck, essentially. It's the dumbest place I've ever seen for a quill. It's clearly a quill holder. It's terrible.
It's a quill and a quill holster. I just noticed that now.
Listen, bud.
Oh, no.
We're trying to kill bandits. Please get rid of this quill. I don't need you to write me a sonnet.
It's like
we're trying to kill people.
It's like those. You ever have those friends where they bring their backpack with them everywhere they go? And it's like, do you really need to bring your backpack with your laptop in it and all this stuff in it to go like shopping? Like, do you really need to bring all that with you? That's him.
He is the fantasy medieval version of someone who is writing their novel in Starbucks. We get it. You like art. That's who cares? We're trying to kill people.
Ignatz's relatives would later on open Starbucks. It was his idea.
Absolutely.
He's like, what if we mixed art and then other things like coffee?
Absolutely.
Because he wasn't winning any fights with this outfit, let me tell you that.
He should have gotten a different cut of glasses. The round glasses aren't doing him any favors.
No.
He had 5 years to find new glasses, bud. Why didn't you find better glasses than that?
And
I don't know.
The reality is that they're in style in Asia right now, and it's like whatever. Which they're like the thing.
That haircut. Oh, you know what? That haircut that he has in the war era, the second act, I guess, is what I'm going to start calling it. That's a very popular haircut in Japan right now.
Yes.
Is the shaved and then kind of a bowl cut on top. That's extremely popular, but he doesn't pull it off.
So moving on, I think we saved the best for last, I think, of the house.
Yeah.
She like knocks it out of the park for easily being like probably the best outfit in the game, perhaps.
Oh, I think so.
And
I think so.
We're talking about our girl Hilda.
You know what my favorite part about this outfit is the bra straps on the shoulder. That's my favorite part of the entire outfit. We've been like griping on outfits being too modern, but this is an extremely modern outfit that I love. And I'm glad it's there. I don't care if it doesn't quite fit at all. It looks amazing.
I think it does fit. I think that the neckline is a little immediately recognizable as being more modern. And I think a lot of the other elements are as well. Like, obviously, the like very high socks with the bows are very Lolita. The skirt is very Lolita. But then she has those medieval style poofy sleeves. But done with the off shoulder, like the cold shoulder style cut, which is also very modern. And then the earrings they're sort of like in style and sort of not. They're kind of like vintage / modern, but they're also like the black accents on the jewelry is also that modern style as well. Cause you didn't see like that back then.
No.
That kind of stuff. So
never.
That's, I think, why it's the best is because it's the perfect combination of like the medieval and the modern fashion.
That makes sense. I love her hairband. It's black, and then it has the 2 hearts for each ponytail that she has.
Yes.
Like, come on, Hilda. It's amazing.
I at first thought they were cat ears, which I was
Me
like,
too.
that's weird. I like wouldn't have minded if they were, because I think that's cute.
Right? It would be on brand. If you told me that Hilda wanted cat ears, I'd be like, okay.
The other thing I will say is that it's refreshing that Hilda isn't the type of character I thought she was going to be, which is basically the Leonie type, which is like I'm a small, tough cookie, you don't mess with me, and whatever. Sort of like Lysa as well. But she's super girly, but also super lazy, which is the 2 things I don't think you see enough of. You have the like tomboy, like, oh, whatever, I don't care about fashion side of things, or you have the super girly, and you don't have those things that are in between, which I think like most women generally are.
She is so unique. She like I kind of like felt a kinship with her in a way, because she has this way of, she doesn't want to do anything when she's younger, and so she tries to get other people to do things for her, and that was very similar to how I was. And then when she gets older, she realizes that like some people rely on her, so she has to work hard to take care of people she cares about. And I'm like, oh wow, I had the same maturity, like exact same maturity growing up, like from 15 to 25. That was exactly what happened to me. So I think that she is such a unique character, and she's not what she seems on the surface at all. And also, I gotta say, the poofy elbow things that she has is very Harley Quinn on top of everything else. It's like,
yes,
kind of got a court jester thing going on,
yeah,
which I really like.
Like, it's still very fun and whimsical, the hairstyle, along with like the colors and the bows. She's still, again, they're still all young, but she's like, I think still younger and smaller, and she like still, she's all about that.
Yeah, and even if she is older, she makes it a purpose in life to make people think that she's younger than she actually is, which I think is funny.
Definitely, yeah. It all plays into her personality. That's why it's so great. It's almost like fashion design. Good fashion design matters in games.
I also want to say that I felt like her outfit is sexy without it being too male gazy. Like, it didn't feel like, to me, it was made with the intention of like to get guys into it or whatever. You know what I'm saying? For me, it was like empowering and sexy at the same time, which is the perfect mix.
Agreed. Yeah, it's she's not showing a lot of skin, actually, if you look at it.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the Golden Deer. That's all the characters we wanted to talk about for the Golden Deer, but we're going to be swiftly moving into the next house, which is the Black Eagles.